a little bit after 1 p.m. New York time here. We had about 50 points. It raced off the S&P 500. It did try to recoup some of those losses, but it's going to end the day down about 0.9%, 41.34. The NASDAQ Composite, 13,817, also down about 0.9%, call it. Dow Jones Industrial Average also down 1%, back below 34,000. And we should point out the Russell 2000 had been the outperformer here on the day. I guess technically it still is. It was up as much as 1.3% here before those headlines moved. It's going to finish the day down right now, down about 0.3%.
You know, Romaine, I love that you mentioned the small caps. There was some great stuff on the Bloomberg today. I'm going to read my notes here. Russell 2000 members trading above their 50-day moving average, falling below 40% compared to about 80% for the large caps. We're looking at that gap. And previous instances when we've seen that, we've also seen some more pressure on stocks. All right, Intel crossing the Bloomberg terminal. Let's get to it. First quarter revenue, $19.67 billion. That is down about 0.8% year over year. The company, though, and this is going to be key in terms of the trade, Caroline, they are raising their 2021 fiscal, or I should say 2021 year guidance.
Yeah, why? Because they supply chips. Why? Because everyone's desperate for them, of course. We know the supply side issues that have surrounded overall the chip supply chain. Of course, this is why Intel is doubling down, wanting to bring back manufacturing, the fabs as they're known. But we're off by 0.25%. Interesting in the remarks, as they say their fully adjusted earnings per share, $4.60. So they'd seen previously $4.55.
But
the estimate was for $4.56.
Caroline, do you see this data center revenue, though? I mean, you're talking about a $5.6 billion number coming in. That's below what the street expected. I mean, all the time we're here talking about the competition that they have with AMD and NVIDIA and all these other companies out there. This is all about data center. They've been losing ground here, and then you come in and miss on that number. No wonder the shares are down.
Yeah, Intel stock up 25% this year, but right now after hours down a little more than 1% as investors try to make sense of these numbers. The shares so far this year have outpaced the advance in the Philadelphia Stock Exchange Semiconductor Index, which is advanced by 12%. I'm looking for commentary, guys, about how the company is thinking about government help when it comes to actually improving the supply chain here in the United States.
The only commentary I see so far, I'm only on page 1 of the press release, Caroline, but the commentary that I get from, of course, the new CEO, Pat Gelsinger, saying this, of course, a pivotal year. We are looking at momentum. We are trying to rapidly progress our plans with a reinvigorated focus. We want to accelerate our trajectory, capitalize on the growth in semiconductors to power, of course, this increasing digital world. So really trying to come out with some strong words to reassure that they are on that plan and they're tackling Intel 2.0.
Intel predicting second quarter revenue of $17.8 billion, a profit of $1.05 a share. Analysts were projecting $1.11 a share on revenues of $17.6 billion.
I mean, they're not really raising much in terms of their full year adjusted revenue, are they? 72.5 billion. They'd seen 72 billion. Well, so they just managed to raise it by $500 million. I'm not scoffing at 500 million, guys, but interesting that the street had basically seen about 72, so maybe a bit of a letdown there as well, Romaine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, we talk about this earnings season. I mean, the numbers, the backward-looking numbers, certainly important here. But people really want to see those forecasts nudge a little bit up, particularly for companies that are in very competitive industries like this. And we
the market works in weird ways, fellas.
They had a relatively new CEO here who still needs a little bit more time, but at least
huge
right now,
demand in chips.
Carol, still some pressure.
Microchips, that is. Don't get it confused, my fellow chip fiends. What's your favorite kind of chips?
A bunch of new factories. At that point, they gave information
when it comes to silicon, I'd say ARM-based,
it sees second quarter revenue of
$18.9 one of my stocks.
Company sees second quarter adjusted EPS of
Qualcomm.
$1.05 a share versus an estimate of $1.11. So,
makes Snapdragon processors.
A lot of the street was looking for a little bit more of
an
outlook from this company, especially into the second quarter and beyond.
Carol, that might
you can see on the bottom here, the screen, there's a pricing for gold, silver, aluminum, copper, platinum. It's pretty good set of data.
That I'm reading here as we were heading into the print, saying management had set expectations for an underwhelming fiscal
bottom left corner, today's date, time,
How are we hearing comments
channel.
CPU inventory?
Yeah, you heard Romaine talk about
the business,
revenue coming in at $5.56 billion. That's down 21% year over year. Also, the
corn went up today in price.
$9 billion. Gross
with
margin,
the
55.2%.
what I was worried about in the morning, the tree getting messed up.
And the other thing too, I mean, we're
The
all
flower
looking
is
for some
burning,
earnings here too. We should
not
point out
producing any
Snap and
fruit.
Intel
Well, all
coming
the
later tonight, but even prior to this earnings report coming out, we had seen a lot of weakness in a lot of those chip stocks. A lot of this seemed to be tied to concerns about
all the farmers out in Iowa worried about their
but
crops
there's this concern here
getting
about
damaged from
pull
the
forward here,
freezing
Caroline, in some of
temperatures
that, and
overnight.
well, okay, you get a little bit of a boost here.
Actually
in
was
Q1,
in
maybe
a
into Q2, but once you get to the
similar
second half and into 2022, maybe that all goes
situation was worried about
Gross margin 55%.
Like
Missing
peach
analyst
trees.
estimates of 57%. Margin is really going
And
to be
tomatoes.
the whole of the earnings.
Well, I haven't
season,
planted
really, I
tomatoes
think,
yet,
Carol,
but-
because this is going to be the tell. This is going to be if we've got cost increases on the rise. Shouldn't perhaps be affecting. The
I wish I
market
should have
so much
gotten
as we've been seeing
AMD.
Chipotle, for example,
I knew they were gonna blow up.
A bit earlier, and some of the commodities that underlie that. But interesting that we're seeing
In
a
value,
margin hit
or
overall.
market cap wise, but
Coming out remain.
I wasn't in the
Mattel
market
adjusted gross margin
stocks yet.
47%.
Like,
Actually, went ahead.
5 years ago.
Expectations there at 44%.
Yeah, I think we should turn just real quickly here and look at Skyworks here. They actually just coming out with a statement here saying that they're going to buy the infrastructure and automotive business of Silicon Labs. Silicon Labs shares are halted right now at the moment. This is about a $3 billion
Oh, man, that's
so not a
interesting
massive
right
deal
there.
here, but an interesting strategic one specifically for Skyworks. But this, of course, been trying to diversify a little bit away from Apple and that supply chain with the iPhone.
Yeah, Mattel, you guys mentioned that. I'm going to go back to that. That stock, we're seeing it up.
Biden
about
wants to
3.5%
put
here in the
15
afternoon.
billion
This has been one of the
into EV
pandemic
charging.
winners as people were
Nice,
stuck at
nice,
home. They bought a lot
nice.
of toys for their kids. It's up again 20% this year. We're going to be talking with the Mattel CEO tomorrow. So,
yeah?
you know, kind of getting an idea. And the supply chain is one of those things I want to find out about, right? In terms of how they're managing it.
I just gotta say, this is one of my favorite pandemic stories, guys. Right, the narrative that emerged. Yeah, the narrative that emerged over the last year was right, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. Everybody was stuck at home. Grandparents wanted to spoil their kids.
35,
Parents wanted to spoil
35,
their kids.
you know.
They were sending them Barbies. They were sending them Hot Wheels. They were sending them Fisher Price.
wanted to spoil,
and
but they
Mattel
wanted
was
to keep
happy
them
about
busy.
that.
And don't forget about all the games, all the games. You know how many games we bought
switches it
during
up
the pandemic?
to 40.
A ton of
Yeah, it is a distraction, my friends. I love it that
40 now.
It's treating your kids, but I think that's what you're right to do. Giving them less
I only have one, so that's where that's coming from.
You know, all I have to say is we take a look at those red
What,
lines again about Skyworks
what volume do you
Science
guys like,
Systems
prefer?
Lab. One thing that
Is this
really
loud enough?
sticks out
Go
to
louder?
me,
For 40?
$2.75 billion. It is all cash. It is accretive immediately. If it is cash,
45.
you do not want to share the upside with the target because you, as the buyer, want all of the upside for yourself. It signals confidence in the deal. You're not giving away that stock for nothing.
Absolutely, yeah, and this is actually a big deal. I'm sure we'll get a chance to dive into it a little bit later. But just
50,
from a strategic
50 right now.
standpoint, this is
I think
actually
this
a
is
big
the
deal for
highest I'll
Skyworks.
go.
Really goes well beyond that
pretty loud here.
$2.75 billion price tag.
Guys, keep an eye on Snap. The company expected to release earnings later today. It's had an incredible run over just the last year, a far cry from what it was just a few years ago. Big question that I have about Snap is how are people going to use it post-pandemic? Again, when things are going back to normal, are people going to be using their phones as much, communicating over their phones as much, and using Snap to do that?
All right, we're going to wrap it up, folks. Right now, Intel down about 1.25% here in the after hours. That's going to do it for our cross-platform coverage on Bloomberg TV and, of course, on YouTube. Join us again, same place, same time tomorrow.
And we will be digging much more into the rest of the earnings. Stick with us as we dissect Intel. We're also going to look for Snap. Remember, the stock up 5-fold since the bottoms in March 2020 lows. How can it substantiate that sort of skyrocketing stock price?
45.
More on Skyworks too. This is Bloomberg.
Trading revenues coming in better than expected. Everything cash, $1.4 trillion of cash. One of the most notable aspects of this report that was stellar.
Okay, Sparky, that's enough.
Parenting isn't an exact science. Supporting your family's
55.
immune system is with Culturel's probiotics, scientifically proven to help keep immune and digestive systems strong. And now in gummies.
Some say this is my greatest challenge ever, but I've seen
45.
centuries of this. With a companion that powers a digital world
40.
traded with a touch. The gold standard, so to speak.
Alright, gonna make this 10-minute video. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And If you want to get notified, hit the bell button. Drop a comment for me. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Get the support right back at you. Comment for any tips or advice. Alright, thanks for watching. Peace out.